Hey guys, did you know that the dot in your damage percentage goes up a little bit after the first hit you take in a match, and it never goes back down again for the remainder of said match, not even when you lose a stock? You probably did know that already, or knew that in the past and forgotten about it, because that was also the first ever useless Smash fact featured on my channel, which was over 3 years ago now. Since then, I've made 9 more episodes filled to the brim with useless trivia about Smash Ultimate, but there have also been a lot of updates to the game in the form of patches, which also came with 11 more characters, and because of that, some of those facts are no longer accurate. For example, Jigglypuff, Mewtwo, Olimar, and Pac-Man are no longer the only characters that give Kirby a different colored hat depending on his ult, as Steve, who was added to the game after the episode that fact was featured in, also does so. If you can even call that a hat. So today I want to go over all my past useless Smash facts that are no longer factual. You get the idea. There are 10 episodes now, and I've done this before when Min Min released to cover the first 5 episodes, so let's speed through those ones relatively quickly to get to the ones that have never been updated by me. Also, I won't be covering facts I've already covered a second time in that video if nothing new related to them has been added or patched into the game. Otherwise I'd just be repeating myself a lot. Joker is still the only character whose name doesn't get shouted out by the Smash announcer when he wins.
Done and done.
However, Kazuya's name also doesn't get shouted out by him, because instead it's the Tekken 7 announcer that does so.
Kazuya Mishima wins.
Banjo and Kazooie are no longer the only playable character not owned by a Japanese company, since Steve is owned by both Microsoft and Mojang, an American and Swedish company respectively. Furthermore, there are now 5 characters in the game not made by a Japanese company, instead of 4, because of Steve, who was originally created by Mojang. Palutena, Peach, and Cloud in his alternate costume are no longer the only characters who have something removed from their character artwork in the battle UI, as Kazuya's right thumb, or rather fingernail in his standard costume, so not his suit, should technically just barely be visible, but they removed it. There's now another character besides Ice Climbers who had something moved in their battle UI to make it visible, that being Kazooie in Banjo and Kazooie's artwork. Joker is still the only character who has something changed in their battle UI artwork in the middle of a match. But aside from Pokemon Trainer, there's now another character whose artwork gets completely replaced mid-match, and that's Pyra and Mythra, who just like them can swap on the fly, which is reflected in the battle UI. And lastly, Pokemon Trainer, Inkling, and Joker are no longer the only characters with more than 3 victory poses, as Violet has 6, 3 for both male and female alts, Pyra and Mythra both have 3, making for 6 together, and Sephiroth has 4, 3 normal ones with the fiery background, and 1 extra for when he wins in a team battle and is not the leading player, in which case he just kinda stands there. Episode 2. Joker is still the only character with more than 1 victory theme, but there is now also a character with 0 victory themes, namely Kazuya.
Kazuya Mishima wins.
Still kinda awkward. You could argue Steve technically also has 0 victory themes, since what you hear is just a sound effect dripped directly from Minecraft.
Steve wins.
But in Smash that's considered his victory music, so I'll let it slide. Kazuya is the only character with 0 victory themes. Dr. Mario has a victory screen where he throws 2 pills and then grabs 2 more, which just like his neutral special, have a randomly generated appearance, and there are 9 different pills in total. A lot of math later, I said that means that this victory animation has 6,561 different ways to appear, not counting alternate costumes. Long story short, this number was incorrect because the last 2 pills he grabs are always the same as the first 2, which I didn't realize at the time. So in a later video, I corrected this by saying there's actually 3,280 different combinations. And as you might have realized already, the reason I'm talking about this again here is because that was also wrong. So this time, instead of trying to figure it out myself, I'm just gonna go with what countless comments on those videos told me and let you know that there's actually just 81 different combinations. Yeah, the math was literally just 9 times 9. I truly meant it when I said that I am awful at math. This means that when we also count his 2 victory screens where he doesn't throw any pills, he has a total of 83 different victory screens, 664 if you also take into account his 8 alternate costumes, which I wouldn't because they all share the same animations of course. Which means that yeah, he actually just has 3 victory screen animations. They can just have a lot of different appearances because of the randomly generated pills. Super Mario and Pokémon are still the series with the first and second most things in the game representing it, and it's probably gonna be this way forever since I'm pretty sure the game isn't getting any more new content added, since the evil Ryu spirit is the last bit of new content added over half a year ago now, going off of the day this video is being uploaded. Also, both series have since gotten 2 more pieces of Mii Fighter clothing added, being the Geno hat and outfit for Super Mario, and the Team Rocket hat and outfit for Pokemon, which are actually the only pieces of Pokemon Mii gear in the game. That being said, the presumably final score for Super Mario is now 321 things, and for Pokemon it's 272 things. And now we're at episode 3, in which we only have one fact to talk about. Joker has an Easter egg where you can make the result screen appear at the end of his final smash, meaning that this is one of his victory screen animations. A total of 4 characters can appear on this victory screen, meaning there's a very high amount of different combinations possible, similar to Dr. Mario's Pills victory screen we just talked about. Some characters like Echoes and Semi-Clones have the same exact animation in this final smash as their non-clone counterpart, so for the purposes of this fact, all those duos all count as one character each. And strangely enough, male and female Wii Fit Trainer are the only case where an alternate costume has a different animation in this final smash, so Wii Fit counts as 2 characters here. Since the last time I calculated this, these characters have been added to the game, meaning this number is higher now. And before I tell you what it is, I should let you know that Pyra and Mythra have the same animation, so they count as one character here. So putting that all together, there are now 79 different animations that can take place on this victory screen. Doing the math shown on screen here and adding his 3 regular victory animations and also his Team Battle exclusive 4th one gives us a new final grand total of 39,449,444 different victory animations. Damn, Joker. If someone wants to go get footage of them all, be my guest. I'm not doing that. And now I'm gonna spoil the fun again by saying that this screen actually turns into a 2D image that waves in the wind, meaning that the multiple millions of different looks it can have actually all share the same singular animation. Makes complete sense in hindsight. So Joker actually only has 5 different victory screen animations if we're being completely honest and factual. But I don't care. Big number makes brain happy, so I personally choose to believe he has more victory screens than 2 times the amount of people living in my home country. Anyways, that's it for episode 3. One fact. A big one, but still one fact. So let's just move on to episode 4. Isabelle is still the only newcomer that didn't have their final smash shown in their reveal trailer. And after that I said that Inkling, Daisy, Joker and Terry also didn't have it in their reveals by a technicality. Inkling's reveal was the Smash 5 teaser without any gameplay, Joker and Terry both had a teaser reveal without gameplay, and Daisy's reveal was just, look, she's in the game, and that's it, no final smash shown. Anyways, adding to that, Sephiroth and Sora are also some technicality cases like those 4. In Sephiroth's trailer, we saw the first part of his final smash and nothing else, which does make him the only newcomer whose final smash was only shown partly in their reveal trailer. And Sora is in kinda the same boat as Joker and Terry. His initial reveal was without gameplay, just a cinematic, but unlike them, later in the same presentation, the reveal trailer was shown again, but this time with gameplay added after it, which does feature his final smash, but that's not a part of his initial reveal, in my eyes at least. Anyways, moving on, with all the characters now in the game, Kirby has a grand total of exactly 100 different special moves in the game, namely these ones. I'm not listing them all again. Duplicates like Simon and Victor's Axe Throw, even though they have the same name and functionality, are still counted separately because they come from different characters, so they're different specials in my opinion. And some multifunction specials like Sora's Magic, even though it has 3 different forms, are still counted as one special, because it all shares the same name of Magic, so it all falls under the same move. It's not the same thing as Heroes Frizz, Frizzle, and Caprice, which are all named as separate moves. That being said, this means that the maximum amount of specials Kirby can have access to in one standard Smash match is now 22, which is done by playing an 8-player Smash match with Kirby, Pokemon Trainer, Ryu, Hero, Banjo and Kazooie, Steve, Sephiroth, and Pyra and Mythra, with final smashes turned on. With this setup, in the same match, Kirby can use Inhale, Hammer Flip, Final Cutter, Stone, Water Gun, Bullet Seed, Flamethrower, Hadouken, Sharkonetsu Hadouken, Frizz, Frizzle, Caprice, Egg Firing, Regal Blaster, Mine, Create Block, Flare, Mega Flare, Giga Flare, Flame Nova, Lightning Buster, and Ultra Sword. Yeah, Final Smashes are special moves too. I mean, you do them with the special button, they're listed on the special moves list alongside the others. You get the idea. I legit forgot about them last time I talked about this. And now let's move on to episode 5. Captain Falcon is no longer the only character whose entrance animation significantly changes depending on which way he is facing, since now both Pyra and Mythra also have this quirk. Pyra moves her arm across her chest if she's facing right, and just simply holds her hand above it if she's facing left. and Mythra holds her arm out if she's facing right, and her sword if she's facing left. And that's all I have to talk about regarding episode 5. One thing I quickly want to mention is that in Use of Smash Facts 4, I proposed a viewer challenge where I asked you guys to try and use every single special move possible in All-Star Smash as Kirby, barring the Mii specials and his Final Smash. Then in episode 5, I confirmed that no one was able to do it because it's insanely hard. And then in the following video where I went over the past Smash Facts for the first 5 episodes, someone on Twitter called Blazing Flare modded their game, completed the challenge with mods, and then I showed that off. Well, since then, Sora, the last DLC character, came out, and a while after that, Blazing Flare contacted me saying they did it yet again, but this time with all DLC characters. So I just wanted to mention that here. The video link is in the description of this video if you're interested in seeing it. I personally think it's really cool. So one last time, big shoutouts to Blazing Flare for doing this. You are the GOAT. That being said, now we get to move on to the videos I haven't covered at all yet, starting with episode 6, the Dirt Special. Another stage has been added where Steve's dirt blocks gets replaced by white wool, namely Cloud Sea of Allrest, presumably to mimic the Cloud Sea itself. This means that there are now 13 stages in the game where his dirt gets replaced. And yes, Summit is still the only one where they're ice blocks. Personally, I feel like that could have also been the case on Hollow Bastion, since at the start of the stage, you see a ton of ice platforms in the background, and I feel like it would have matched the vibe of the stage as a whole. I said that Peach, Jigglypuff, Bayonetta, Byleth, Pokémon Trainer, and Steve are the only characters that don't just simply have 2 idle animations, and in my previous video where I quizzed people on Smash Facts for a chance to win $100, some people got upset that I didn't mention Pyra and Mythra when I asked this guy which characters don't have 2 idle animations. It's true that they both have 2 idle animations, so together it would be 4, and I can totally see where people are coming from when they say this, but personally I see them as separate characters in this scenario. The reason Pokémon Trainer counts isn't because Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard have 6 idle animations together, but because the actual Pokémon Trainer in the background has 2 animations per alt, so that's 4 total on the same character. I still think this way, but I thought I would at least mention it here. If you count Pyra and Mythra as one character, then they would have 4 idle animations. Anyways, episode 7. There's actually nothing in this entire episode that I can add more info to nowadays. So, episode 8. Fun fact, I accidentally rendered this video in 30 frames per second instead of the usual 60, and I didn't notice until months after I posted the video. It was made in 60 FPS, I have it like that on my computer, I just rendered it in 30 without noticing. Damn. Anyways, back to the actual video. Normally when you have controller rumble turned on, missing a move will make it rumble softly, while hitting it will make it rumble harder. But because of an oversight when they increased the attack speed of Cloud's up smash and Toon Link's back air in patch 7.0.0, these 2 moves now never cause the hard rumble to happen, instead always doing the soft rumble even if you cleanly land the move. This is still the case, it was never fixed, but something I learned after that video is that if you hit the sour spot of Cloud's up smash, aka the part where it does less damage, it makes the hard rumble happen. Huh? That is really weird. I hereby formally apologize to all Cloud mates that never noticed this before. I'm so sorry. And in case you're curious, this doesn't happen with Toon Link's back air because it doesn't have a sour spot. There's no way to prove it, but I'm sure that if it did, the sour spot would cause the hard rumble as well. Episode 9, the episode where I talked about coasters for a full minute. I'm actually just gonna clear up some misinformation that's going around since this episode, instead of updating an old fact, because there's also nothing new to talk about here. I said that Hollow Bastion doesn't update to its dive into the hard form when playing with the stage hazards turned off, which I then said was stupid because there's no gameplay differences between the 2 forms at all. Ever since then, I've gotten countless comments and messages telling me that there actually is a gameplay difference between them, namely that when Steve mines for materials on the stage, Hollow Bastion is considered a stone surface, thus giving him more cobblestone, while Dive into the Heart is considered an iron surface, giving him more iron and golden ingots. This is just straight up not true. On both forms, the floating platform and the middle ring on the stage are always iron surfaces, while the center and the edges of the stage are always stone surfaces, so there really is no difference gameplay-wise between the 2, as far as I can tell. And yes, I did check every Station of Awakening appearance just to be sure. And that's all I can talk about regarding episode 9, so let's now just move on to the current latest episode of the series, episode 10. I said in this video that the song that plays during the animated segment of Palutena's reveal trailer is an original composition made for that trailer and not found in Smash. But since then I've been corrected by a few people that that's actually various segments of the song Chaos Vortex from Kid Icarus Uprising. In the same fact, I said that Cloud's victory theme, which was used in his reveal trailer, was ripped straight from Final Fantasy VII. This actually isn't true. It's a remix of the victory theme from that game, which itself is a rearrangement from the one used throughout the Final Fantasy series, originating from the very first one, at least the beginning of it. I legitimately didn't know when making that video that Cloud's victory theme is a remix and not the original piece, probably because they sound almost exactly the same. Anyways, in this episode, I focus mainly on the other language versions of Smash, and because I don't speak every language, there were bound to be a few errors, so here's a bunch of mistakes I made that the comments pointed out to me. First and foremost, I didn't know this huge detail that I would have specified if I did, and that is that there are two versions of the Spanish translations of Smash, the Spain-Spanish localization and the Latin American localization. The reason I covered the Spain one is because I'm European and thus have a PAL copy of Smash Ultimate. And if you set a PAL copy to Spanish, you get the Spain localization, instead of the Latin American one, which you get when you set the game to Spanish with a copy from Mexico or America. So yeah, I didn't know this and assumed that the Spanish version I got when I set my game to Spanish is the same as everyone else. My first two names may be Spanish, but I'm clearly not very well versed in the country's culture, so I apologize to all my Spanish viewers for that one. Anyways, there are a small handful of character name differences between the two. In Latin American, Captain Falcon is Capitan Falcon, and Mi Brawler is Peleador Mi, while they are Karateka Mi in Spain Spanish. Robin, Rosalina, Bowser Jr., Duck Hunt, and Sephiroth's names are all unchanged from English in Latin American, while Captain Falcon is unchanged in Spain Spanish. Luma is called Destello in both versions, by the way, even though Rosalina's name changes between the two. And also, the reason it sounded like the announcer was saying El Steve and El Snake to me is because in Spanish, when a word starts with the letter S followed by another consonant, it usually gets pronounced as S, which would make Steve and Snake's names S Steve and S Snake. Anyways, there's also two versions of French depending on if you have a PAL copy or not, and I again covered the PAL version, so here's the changes between the American French and European French versions. Please excuse the following botched pronunciations. In American French, Captain Falcon is Capitaine Falcon, Villager is Habiteur, which means inhabitant, and Mi Brawler is Bagarreur Mi, which means Brawler Mi, instead of the European version, where they're called Boxer Mi, meaning Boxer Mi. Sarah's suit Samus is Samus sans combinaison, which roughly translates to Samus without jumpsuit, while she's called Samus sans saremu in European French, which means Samus without armor. Palutena has an accent above the E in American French only, and King K. Rool is Ruai Karo in American French. And lastly, I said that these two symbols in Mii Swordfighter's Korean name mean sword and magic respectively, which is true, but what I didn't know is that when they're put together, then it translates to Swordcraft, meaning their Korean name is actually Mii Swordcraft type. Anyways, that's everything I wanted to update. I really hope there's nothing I missed, because it would be embarrassing if I had to go back to these facts yet again when Use of Smash Facts 15 is out, if we're not all long dead by then. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me and this series, and an extra big thanks to Sylveon700, Gurk, The Flying Fire, Lurifax1, Lime the Chef, Milk and Frogs, Sayalola, Nozo, Super Pig X, Right the Yoshi, Sheen FTW, Free Friends, Quote is Cool, Giant Firing Coal, The Game DD, and the rest of my awesome Patreon supporters. Now that this video is finally done, I can get started on Useless Smash Facts 11, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to catch it as soon as it goes live. I'd really appreciate it too if you could leave a like on the video. YouTube's algorithm likes it when you do that, and it hasn't been too nice to me lately, so it would really mean a lot to me. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Good night, everyone.